The biggest news from the US presidential election cycle this week was the conviction of President Joe Biden's son, Hunter. The Biden campaign was dealt with a major blow on June 11 after a federal jury found Hunter guilty of three felony counts: lying to a federally licensed gun dealer, lying on a federal firearms application, and possessing an illegally obtained gun. It makes Hunter the first offspring of a sitting president to be convicted of a crime. The charges against Hunter were brought by Justice Department Special Counsel David C. Weiss, who was appointed by Donald Trump. Hunter had previously admitted to struggling with drug abuse, which he said got aggravated after losing his brother to brain tumor in 2015. Hunter had earlier reached a plea deal with the Justice Department, opting for a counseling program for people who committed non-violent firearm offenses instead of a trial and jail. But the deal collapsed under intense questioning by Judge Mary Ellen Noreika, who presided over the case, and also intense political opposition to what the Republicans alleged was a sweetheart deal for the president's son. Noreika said she would sentence Hunter within 4 months, so it could come just before the presidential elections in November. He could potentially face jail time up to 25 years. But sentences for non-violent and first-time offenders are typically lenient. According to the guidelines set by the United States Sentencing Commission, Hunter could face imprisonment from 15 to 21 months. But defendants like Hunter are less likely to be sent to jail if they comply with the rules and regulations of their pre-trial release. Biden weighed in on the conviction, releasing a statement offering support for his son. He said he would accept the verdict and would continue to respect the judicial process even as Hunter considers an appeal. The conviction has come at a bad time for Biden, as he may find it hard to balance personal and political commitments during the election season, especially as Hunter is his only surviving child from his first wife, who was killed along with his infant daughter in a car accident several decades ago. It could come as a major distraction as the campaign season enters the home stretch. But an even bigger concern for Biden could be a second case against Hunter in California, also being prosecuted by Weiss. It involves three felony charges for failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes from 2016 to 2019. Hunter was indicted in December and pleaded not guilty on all counts. Weiss alleges that Hunter made more than $7 million during this period, which was spent on drugs, escorts, girlfriends, luxury hotels, and exotic cars. In short, everything except taxes. The trial in the case is set to start on September 5th, and a pre-trial hearing is scheduled for mid-August, just before the Democratic National Convention, where Biden will be formally nominated as the Democratic presidential candidate. And the trial will coincide with the last days of the campaign and also early voting in some of the key states. The verdict in the Delaware case would have serious implications on the tax fraud case in California, as federal sentencing guidelines permit judges to impose a harsher sentence if a defendant has a history of criminal convictions. As Hunter has been found guilty of three felonies in the gun case, he could get a much harsher sentence in the California trial. The tax case could also hurt Biden's presidential campaign, as it is closely related to Hunter's business interests in Ukraine and China, which have been a favorite target of the Republicans. Many senior Republican leaders, including Trump, have alleged that Biden benefited from Hunter's business dealings. The Biden family and the president are still being investigated by the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability on whether they were targeted by foreign actors such as Russia, China, and Ukraine, whether the president was compromised, and whether national security was threatened. House Republicans have also tried to impeach Biden, but the process was stalled because of intra-party schism and skepticism. The only bright spot for Biden among the legal travails facing his son is the fact that the guilty verdict from Delaware has proven that Republican charges of a weaponized Justice Department is incorrect. Trump has been making the point that his conviction in the hush money case was an attempt by the Justice Department to derail his presidential bid, although the department had nothing to do with the case, which was prosecuted by the Manhattan District Attorney. Hunter, on the other hand, was prosecuted and convicted by the Department of Justice under Attorney General Merrick Garland, who reports to Biden. Thus, while the case is a personal disaster for Biden, it could help his campaign and could also set off a sympathy wave. But if the cases against Hunter get prolonged, it could take a toll on Biden, considering the emotional strain the issue is causing the 81-year-old president, especially during the brutal re-election campaign. For Democrats and especially the president's inner circle, that could be the biggest concern. Thank you.